Other stuff, some stuff that he think I don't know about. He think he got one up on me. I don't know. He think he got a mole somewhere. I told him I got a mole.
The boxing world has been thrown into chaos as news breaks that Tank Davis has been placed in federal remand over allegations of match fixing in his controversial bout against Lamont Roach Jr. just days after whispers of a possible investigation began circulating. The situation has taken a more serious and troubling turn.
The commission gets this right. It was a bummer not being declared the winner on a technicality that could be righted. That wrong could be righted. Obviously, in different ways.
It all began with reports suggesting that referee Steve Willis provided key information supporting claims that the fight was manipulated. Fans and analysts had already been questioning how the bout ended in a majority draw, despite Roach seemingly doing enough to secure the win. Now, with federal authorities stepping in, it appears those suspicions were more than justified.
I think Lamont Roach, I think he landed more punches throughout the fight. I think Tank was used to, figuring it out, having that slow start, figuring it out around the third, fourth round. And I think
from the moment the final bell rang, controversy surrounded the result. Roach had outworked Davis in several rounds, and many believed he had done enough to earn a clear victory. But then came the ninth round, the moment that set off alarms that in the middle of the action, Davis unexpectedly took a knee, prompting referee Steve Willis to begin a count. However, midway through, Willis abruptly changed his mind, waved it off, and ruled it was not a knockdown. That single decision altered the entire outcome of the fight. Had Willis counted it as a knockdown, Roach would have won the round 10-8, potentially securing the win on the scorecards. Instead, with the call going in Davis's favor, the fight ended in a draw, leaving Roach stunned and fans outraged.
Well, no. What's your thoughts when you first heard it?
That they wasn't going to overturn it?
Yeah.
I mean, I expected that. I don't really see them doing that. Tank is too big of an attraction. New York, I felt like
Davis's explanation for taking the knee was bizarre, to say the least. He claimed that his freshly styled hair had too much grease, and when he started sweating, it dripped into his eyes, burning them and forcing him to kneel. The excuse was met with widespread disbelief, with fans calling it one of the most ridiculous justifications ever given by a fighter. Critics were quick to point out that fighters constantly deal with sweat and blood in their eyes, yet none simply dropped to a knee in the middle of a fight. Roach himself was furious after the bout, stating, "If you take a knee, that's a knockdown. That's just the rules. The refs started counting, so why did he stop? They stole this from me." His team wasted no time filing an official complaint with the New York State Athletic Commission, demanding a full review of the fight and its officiating. But the controversy didn't end there.
If you take a knee, you need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's a disqualification. For sure. I'm talking about the rule.
What made matters even worse was a chilling remark Davis allegedly made to Roach on the night of the fight, telling him, "They ain't going to give it to you." At the time, many assumed he was simply referring to the usual politics of boxing, where the A-side fighter often gets the benefit of the doubt. But in light of the recent match-fixing allegations, that statement now carries a far more sinister implication. Did Davis already know the outcome before the fight even began? Was the result predetermined? These pressing questions have now sparked a full-scale federal investigation.
So to me, I thought I won the fight clearly. I thought I won a close fight. I thought I won a very competitive fight.
Okay.
I'm not saying I steamrolled him or whatever.
The federal investigation was set in motion after Roach's legal team enlisted high-profile attorneys who pushed for a deeper probe into the fight's outcome. They highlighted suspicious betting activity in the lead-up to the bout, with an unusually large amount of money being placed on a draw, one of the rarest results in boxing. This raised major red flags, prompting investigators to examine whether insider information had been leaked to bettors who knew in advance that the fight would end in a draw. Then came the biggest bombshell, the revelation that referee Steve Willis had provided key information to authorities.
It should have been a knockdown, one.
So that's why I'm yelling at the referee, like, keep counting. Like, you tripping, keep counting. That's a knockdown. Because if y'all didn't notice, he started it.
While the full details of what Willis revealed haven't been disclosed, sources indicate that he confirmed external influences had impacted his decisions during the fight. That confirmation was enough for federal agents to take action against Davis. His arrest comes as a shocking twist, even for a fighter who has faced his share of legal troubles in the past. Now, Davis finds himself in what could be the most serious situation of his career.
He wasn't coming to lay down. I've been knowing Lamont since we was kids, so we came up in amateurs together. So I knew Lamont was serious. He was coming.
If the allegations prove true, Davis could be facing more than just a suspension from boxing. Criminal charges could land him behind bars. Boxing insiders are already speculating on the impact this could have on his career. Some believe this might mark the beginning of the end for Davis, while others think his promotional team, led by Al Heyman and premier boxing champions, will do everything possible to shield him and keep his career afloat. However, even if he avoids legal consequences, the damage to his reputation may be irreversible.
I feel like when my back is against the wall or against the ropes, it's like, it's time to show up. So it wasn't really hard for me to focus because all I had to do was...
Social media has erupted with reactions to the news as fighters and boxing personalities weigh in on the controversy. Devin Haney, one of Davis's biggest rivals, wasted no time mocking him, posting, "Damn, first he fakes injuries to duck fights. Now he's fixing fights? Ain't no way y'all still rocking with this dude." Oscar de la Hoya, a longtime critic of Davis, tweeted, "I've been saying it for years. Tank is protected. The truth always comes out." Even veteran boxing analyst Teddy Atlas, known for his no-nonsense takes, weighed in, calling the situation asterisk a disgrace to the sport.
I'm still rooting with him. I saw the negativity and people, critics talking, but I think he's one hell of a fighter, and I think he's still the top.
To make matters worse, Davis's name has been removed from multiple boxing rankings. Ring Magazine has officially dropped him from their pound-for-pound list, replacing him with David Benavidez. The backlash is already taking a toll on his career, and if the investigation uncovers more evidence, things could spiral even further. There's already speculation that the New York State Athletic Commission may revisit the fight's outcome and potentially void the result entirely, which could mean Roach being declared the rightful winner. If that happens, Davis wouldn't just lose his status as one of the sport's top fighters. He could also be stripped of his championship belts.
They reverse the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
It just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the integrity of the sport.
As Davis sits in remand, awaiting his next legal hearing, the question now is whether he can fight his way out of this or if this will mark the end of his career. If the feds have enough evidence to charge him with match fixing, he could be facing more than just a boxing ban. Actual jail time is on the table. Some are already drawing comparisons to past boxing scandals, with parallels being made to Floyd Mayweather, who is often accused of influencing judges and referees throughout his career. However, while Mayweather was never caught in anything of this magnitude, Davis may not be so fortunate. If the allegations hold, he could find himself at the center of the biggest scandal in modern boxing history.
He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy like super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow, and I could have took advantage of. I think I was boxing too much in the beginning, and when I feel like
Davis is in deeper trouble than anyone expected, and now the boxing world is divided on whether he can recover or if his career is permanently damaged. Rolly Romero, one of Davis's past opponents, seems to believe Tank can turn things around in a rematch, but his comments have sparked controversy. Speaking to The Ring, Romero stated that Davis has the ability to make adjustments and secure a win, adding that Roach's performance was so unexpected that even Roach himself might not have seen it coming. That statement alone raised eyebrows. Was Romero implying that Roach got lucky? Because if there's one thing the boxing world agrees on, it's that Roach was the better man that night. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a fluke.
Hank, you lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave
yeah.
you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call it a knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you...
Roach outboxed Davis and would have won if not for the questionable officiating. But now, with Davis under federal investigation for match fixing, Romero's comments take on an even deeper meaning. The way Romero described Roach's performance made it seem like a once-in-a-lifetime showing, something Roach could never replicate. But was it really? Roach didn't just land a few lucky shots. He controlled large portions of the fight, made Davis uncomfortable, and exposed weaknesses that had never truly been tested before. Romero downplaying that could be his way of protecting his own loss to Davis. After all, if Roach, a fighter never considered elite, was able to give Davis so many problems, what does that say about Romero, who was knocked out by Davis in the 6th round of their 2022 fight?
That people want to discredit thing is he's still a pound-for-pound fighter.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night? Or?
Everybody has an off night. Everybody has an off night. Shit, I had a with Cruz.
Even more controversial were Romero's comments about the knee incident. None of the punches hit him, he said, referring to Davis's bizarre decision to kneel mid-fight. That's a damning statement, especially considering Davis had claimed he went down because sweat was dripping into his eyes. If Romero, a fellow boxer, openly says that none of the punches landed, then why did Davis go down at all? That question remains unanswered, and more importantly, why did the referee start the count and then suddenly stop? Romero himself acknowledged that if the knee had been counted as a knockdown, Davis would have lost. That alone shows just how crucial that moment was in determining the outcome of the fight. But let's be honest.
Punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, oh, that, you know, he should be disqualified, he went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation. For me, like, there was a lot of people in boxing.
What Romero didn't say is just as important as what he did. He carefully avoided mentioning that Davis's name has been linked to a federal investigation into fight-fixing allegations. He didn't bring up how Davis allegedly told Roach before the fight, asterisk, they ain't going to give it to you. Asterisk, he ignored the growing speculation that the unusual betting patterns on a draw were more than just coincidence. Instead, he focused on the idea that Davis simply had a tough night and would make adjustments. But how can Davis focus on a rematch when he might be facing criminal charges? That's the real question.
Hey, can you see who it is? Yeah. Who is the dude? Who is the dude?
And that right there.
Ryan Garcia, another past opponent of Davis, also weighed in on the rematch discussion. Speaking to ES News, Garcia said he believes Davis will win the second fight, adding that Tank just underestimated Roach and expected him to fold. But that raises another controversial question. Why did Davis expect Roach to fold? Most likely because he knew something the rest of US didn't, that if Davis believed going into the fight that the decision would already favor him, then of course he wouldn't have fought with the same urgency or trained as hard. And that's exactly what we saw in the ring. Davis fought Roach like he had nothing to worry about. He didn't take Roach seriously, and when Roach kept coming at him, Davis seemed confused, almost lost. It was one of the worst performances of his career, and Garcia's explanation that he was simply caught off guard doesn't fully account for it.
You think it was a draw? No.
What makes this even messy?
What makes this situation even messy, is the fact that Roach and Davis had a $250,000 bet before the fight. Davis bet that he would knock Roach out, but when the fight ended in a draw, it remained unclear whether Davis ever paid up. If he hasn't, that adds another layer of controversy. Davis was willing to gamble 6 figures on a result that didn't happen, despite allegedly having inside knowledge of how the fight would unfold. That alone raises massive red flags. If Davis really believed he was going to get the knockout, then why did he fight with such little urgency? Why did he take a knee? None of it makes sense unless you start looking at the bigger picture. The good news for Roach is that a rematch is already on the table. Whether it happens in 2024 or 2025, both sides have expressed interest in running it back. But the reality is, a rematch can only be fair if the corruption surrounding the first fight is fully exposed. If Davis is found guilty of match fixing, how can anyone trust that the second fight will be any different? And more importantly, should Davis even be allowed to fight again if he manipulated the result of a professional bout? Shouldn't he be banned from the sport? The worst part about all of this is the damage it's doing to boxing as a whole. The sport is already struggling with bad judging, shady business deals, and fights that take years to materialize. This scandal only adds to the tarnished reputation of the sport.
We will never see that fight happen again. It just will not happen. Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't like hard fights. It's that simple. We've seen it over and over. He fought a Ryan Garcia drained. He fought a very inexperienced Rolly Romero. He will not fight Devin Haney. He will not fight Shakur. He will not fight Pitbull Cruz.
If one of the biggest names in the sport, Gervonta Davis, is involved in a match-fixing scandal, it's another massive blow to boxing's credibility. It would be even worse than the controversies surrounding Floyd Mayweather's hand-picked opponents or Canelo Alvarez's questionable scorecards. This is outright corruption, and if Davis is found guilty, it means boxing has a major problem that goes beyond just one fighter. Meanwhile, Davis is still trying to control the damage. Despite being in remand, his team is working overtime to shift the narrative, trying to convince people that this is just another case of Davis being unfairly targeted. But let's be honest, Davis has been involved in too many controversies for this to simply be bad luck. From his past legal troubles and run-ins with the law to now being under federal investigation, this has started to look like a pattern. Boxing fans are growing tired of it. Right now, Davis is fighting two battles, one in the courtroom and one in the public eye.
I must say, no.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the ring? And was it to get the towel out, to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on? And
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning, and like you can get knocked out like that. So I'd rather.
He's losing both battles. Even if Davis gets out and the rematch happens, his reputation will be permanently stained. No matter what happens, there will always be an asterisk next to his name. And if he somehow manages to win the rematch, critics will just claim it was another fix. Lamont Roach Jr. may have been robbed in the first fight, but he's won something even more valuable, the public's respect. If there's one fighter who has come out of this situation looking better than ever, it's Roach. He was the underdog, the guy who wasn't expected to win, but he exposed one of boxing's biggest stars. Now, no matter what happens in the rematch, people will remember that night when he made Gervonta Davis look beatable.
You know it's time.
Can't wait.
You know it's time.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. You know it's time.
Can't wait.
The rematch is nearly locked in, and this time the stakes are even higher. After their controversial first fight, which ended in a majority draw, Roach Jr.'s promoter, Gary Jonas, has made it clear that negotiations are almost finalized. While he didn't reveal all the details, Jonas stated that the rematch is very close to being a done deal. In his words, asterisk, in my mind, it's a done deal, but there are formalities. That statement alone is enough to set the boxing world ablaze. Fans are now eagerly awaiting an official announcement, but it seems inevitable. The rematch is happening.
Nah, to be honest, I've really made it competitive for real, to be honest. But for sure, Lamont's a great fighter. He got the skills like I.
Jonas also highlighted a key factor that could change the outcome this time, Davis's mindset. You've got Gervonta, who's probably going to be angry, probably more focused. That's a major shift from where Davis was mentally before the first fight. He had been talking about retirement, acting like he had nothing to prove and barely promoting the fight. This time, with his undefeated record technically still intact but his aura of invincibility shattered, Davis has no choice but to come in fully focused. Anything less, and Roach Jr. could do what he nearly did the first time, walk away with the WBA lightweight title.
We literally saw the mental breakdown of Tank. Like, again, if you got that elite level Y, you know what you saw. He was intimidated by Roach, and it was like baffling to see. Why was he moving? Because to me, he was intimidated by Roach. To me,
He was clearly intimidated by Roach. Of course, it wouldn't be a Gervonta Davis fight without controversy. The first bout between these two wasn't just close, it was filled with questionable decisions, with the biggest one coming in the 9th round. That's when Davis took a knee out of nowhere, prompting referee Steve Willis to begin counting as if it were a knockdown. However, after some pleading from Davis, Willis stopped the count midway and allowed the fight to continue. Had Willis completed the count, Roach Jr. would have won by unanimous decision and become the new champion. Instead, the fight went the distance and ended in a draw, an outcome that left Roach Jr. and his team furious.
Think about Tank. You can't count on Tank to get tired because his conditioning is out of this fucking world. He can fight 20, 30 rounds if he wants to. 12 rounds ain't shit. Tank can go. So, yeah, Lamont, he didn't do enough.
Roach's team wasted no time filing an appeal with the New York State Athletic Commission, arguing that the knee should have been ruled a knockdown. While the commission acknowledged that Willis had made a mistake, they ultimately refused to overturn the decision. This only deepened the frustration, confirming what many had already suspected. The system is rigged in favor of fighters like Davis. Roach Jr. took to social media to make it clear he wasn't backing down. Responding to rumors that he was suing over the result, he wrote, "Look man, I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, I ain't suing nobody. STFU. My team submitted an appeal on my behalf." What does it look like not having a team that doesn't pull that trigger on something they know is wrong? That post alone shows you everything you need to know about how Roach Jr. feels heading into the rematch. He believes he was robbed, and now he's coming back with even more motivation. The first time around, he wasn't supposed to stand a chance, just another name on Davis's resume. But now he's the man who exposed Gervonta Davis, and this time, he's coming to finish the job. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. See you in the next one.